What is up, guys, and welcome back to another Q&A video. I'm excited for this one. There were many questions submitted in the community section on my channel, so let's get into it. We'll start off with the first question, which was, hey Lucas, what do you think about vitamin D supplementation? Will it restore deficiency? All right, so vitamin D supplements do work very well to replenish vitamin D levels. Ideally, though, I prefer to get vitamin D through the sunlight, so to generate vitamin D through sunlight exposure, and that's without sunscreen. But in some cases, some people don't have much sunlight exposure, and that's where vitamin D supplementation can come in. Particularly, should be emphasized here that we stack the vitamin D with vitamin K2 and also magnesium for optimal absorption and utilization. But in general, I would say that's the best approach. And then also you could look into using a vitamin D lamp. I've actually got one on my website, MitoLux, so the vitamin D lamp. So that's an option there. This next question said, brother, can you give a comprehensive breakdown and overview on how to properly take supplements, day and or night segments? Or a generally healthy approach to starting supplements for beginners who want to maximize testosterone enhancement and create a healthy lifestyle cycle. So a realistic approach here would be to, first of all, set up a spreadsheet on the computer or even on your notes app. Set up some sort of tracking system where you can actually monitor and outline what your stack looks like. So you might put the supplement ingredient, then the dosage, and then when to take it, then how often, things like that, cycling strategy, and basically start one by one. The biggest mistake that I see people making when they're sort of jumping into the supplement space is that they end up trialing too many different supplements all at once. The best thing to do here is to actually take a more minimalistic approach, which is you want to be implementing one by one, different supplement at a time. So we don't want to be doing the shotgun approach where we're just, massively bombarding our system and we don't know which supplement is doing what. So what I do with my own experiments is that I tend to isolate particular supplements and ingredients and I bring them in one at a time instead of doing them all at once. That way I can accurately track and assess how they're affecting my biology. So thank you so much for the information. As always, I really do appreciate your support. What are your thoughts on natural myostatin inhibitors? Any effective one other than epicatechin? Epicatechin is the main one, and I do believe there are some other natural compounds out there that could potentially act as a myostatin inhibitor. I remember I did a video on lemon myrtle. I don't think anyone has actually synthesized that into a supplement properly yet, but keep a lookout for my supplement brand that's going to be launching pretty soon, where I'll be releasing a lot of these novel compounds. A lot of you guys hear me talk about all these exotic botanicals and all these new and novel ingredients. Eventually, I'll be having these released as part of my own supplement range. So just keep a lookout for that. I know you guys are waiting patiently. It's going to be remarkable. New research on brain fog. Well, brain fog is debilitating. It's difficult to function when you have brain fog. You feel like you're just operating at 50% of your capacity. If you were to ask me how to treat brain fog, a lot of the time I've noticed that brain fog is either a toxicity issue or an inflammation issue or a blood flow issue. So circulation enhancement, so things like ginkgo biloba, inositol, trispyrophosphate, looking at actovagen. These are different compounds that can stimulate blood flow, L-citrulline, malate. These compounds help with circulation. And so a lot of the time, the brain fog can disappear when we tackle it from, addressing the circulation. So that's important to note. This next one was best supplements for mold toxicity. So mold toxicity it's a tricky one. Mold can be really debilitating. What we need to do is focus on upregulating glutathione production. So either supplementing with glutathione or using precursors like NAC or NACET, NACET. And then also what we want to do is we want to use a lot of binders. So chlorella is a great one. Bentonite clay is another one. And then also a few things that upregulate liver functioning or support liver functioning. So TUDCA is another one that helps with the clearance. And then don't forget to sweat as well. Regular sweating and exercise can help to eliminate these mold toxins. The next one is, what are my thoughts on palmitoyl ethylamide? So PEA. PEA, I take it almost every single day. It's sort of like an analgesic. It potentiates endocannabinoid signaling. And it's also a really powerful way to increase allopregnanolone, which is a beneficial anxiolytic neurosteroid that we as men want to have in high amounts. Allopregnanolone, if you do some research on that, you'll see that it has novel antidepressant effects. It's anxiolytic. It's neuroprotective. It helps the brain in many ways. Palmitoyl ethylamide is a great way to actually increase those levels. So definitely worthwhile checking out that. And particularly dosages that I use is between 150 to about 300 milligrams. The next question he asked was how to increase 5-alpha reductase. Well, that's pretty easy. Creatine, glycine, caffeine, thiamine, Cistanch, Tonka Ali. You've got sprinting. You've got nicotine. A lot of these actually upregulate 5-alpha reductase. So that leads to greater production of DHT, dihydrotestosterone, which leads to more androgenic effects. And generally, most guys feel better when their DHT levels are higher than having them suppressed. All right, next one is love your channel. Thank you so much. I eat a high-carb plant-based diet. What do you think is the best supplement for glucose regulation? I'm 64. First of all, some guy said heavy amounts of red meat. I'm not a fan of the plant-based diet. I don't think I'll ever recommend it to any of my clients. In terms of moderating glucose, and for glucose regulation, dihydroberberine by NNB Nutrition is really beneficial for that. Myoinositol is also really great as well. So just be careful. When you're on a plant-based diet, you're not really consuming a lot of taurine. You're not getting much glycine. You're missing out on some of these beneficial amino acids. So it's worthwhile potentially supplementing with those as well. The best supplements for anhedonia induced by SSRI. This is a really hard one. It's not that straightforward. A lot of people have benefited from NSI 189. A number of people have benefited from also cerebrolysin as well. Cerebrolysin has had some beneficial effects at alleviating the anhedonia. Sometimes a low hyperforin St. John's wort can help with the anhedonia. So it's a really complex picture because anhedonia can be due to serotonin desensitization, the 5-HT1A receptor. It could also be related to dopamine dysfunction, where things like pramipexole can be beneficial. Things like bromantane, other compounds like phenylpiracetam can be also beneficial for increasing motivation from the dopaminergic pathway. So that's also worthwhile looking into. Is there a supplement that can suppress smoking urges or make the urges less? Yes, lobelia, the herbal extract lobelia, cosmic nootropic celet, that can be pretty good. And also uridine monophosphate might actually help with the dopamine pathway to help with that energy and mood and motivation. So that's worthwhile. So this question here was from Ethan. Do you recommend any alternatives for sun cream or any particular brands for sun cream that won't affect testosterone? The best thing to do is to try a zinc-based one, particularly ones that are made out of tallow. These are generally best without any negative effects on hormonal health. Generally speaking, these are the better ones to use. I actually don't use sunscreen that often, so that's important to note. The research is pretty clear when it comes to sunscreen and these particular things. These particular products contain harmful endocrine disrupting chemicals. A lot of them can leach into the skin, make its way into our body, and they can last for many, many days as well. They take a long time to get out of our system. So just be careful with particular products like that. Always read the label as well, because a lot of these products actually contain ingredients that I can guarantee you won't even know how to pronounce. And if you can't even, like, you're looking at the label and you see ingredients that are looking rather like dodgy or like highly synthetic, then there's a pretty good chance that they have an endocrine disrupting effect. Just be careful when it comes to these particular products. And could you speak about your preferred durations for cycling supplements? Typically, how many weeks on and off? Giving a few different examples for your go-to subs. Great question from David. So a good example would be Tonka Ali. 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off is usually what I've typically adhered to. That's a pretty good guideline. Either 4 weeks on, 1 week off, or 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And that's what I find works well for most supplements, apart from things like taurine, which I take regularly, B12 and things like that. So that's pretty much it. Thanks guys for tuning in. These were great questions. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.